the next show we're going to be talking about is Yokai Apartment, or English name I forgot to put in.
I think it's just the Elegant Yokai Apartment Life is the English
Yes.
name. Yeah. So this, I didn't know what necessarily to expect with this, but I'm gonna say that whatever I expected with this, it wasn't this. It's not to say that it's bad, because it's not. It's an awesome show. Because here again, just kind of like with Natsume and with like the Ancient Magus' Bride, there's a wide variety of creatures.
Mhm.
Wide variety of creatures. And each of them have their own backstory. Each of them fit in their own ways. It's interesting to see. It's the dynamics that you see between everyone and how things interact and how things play out that makes this just as interesting as it is. So you have the main character, the guy who he's had a rough life himself. His parents have passed away. He's been living with his uncle. He basically feels like his who would be the daughter of the uncle? Niece. Okay. Yeah, his niece basically hates him, wants him out of the house, snubs him, just being basically rude and mean to him all the time. He finally gets a chance to go to a business school, high school, for whatever reasons, a business high school. And the dormitory he's supposed to move into, because it's a private school, they all live on campus, ends up burning down. And he tries to find a place to live that he can afford to while he works part-time and goes to school. Couldn't find anything in his budget, and then ends up by a miracle finding this place because a little boy, which I think was the boy you end up finding later in the series too, basically directs him to this. And this place just has all sorts of creatures, monsters, people dealing with the occult, people dealing with supernatural, magicians, book collectors, book mages, there's so many different things involved, and the stories, I think, are wonderful in their own way. They're separate from this guy, but at the same time, he gets involved in each and every single one of them, and that's why it kind of reminds me also of Natsume, because it's separate stories, but they're all interconnected and intertwined with each other. And some of these are really like, this is one of those animes that is not afraid to throw the punches. They will knock you around emotionally as well as mentally, and pull you into that. Reference being on this one is one of the boy, he ends up finding out his boy and his dog were ghosts, and the reason why they were ghosts is because the mother had killed the boy. Mother of the child had killed her son, and then the dog had come to the boy's rescue and killed the mother, but not before he ended up getting fatally wounded, essentially, and getting killed as well. So it was all very just heart traumatic, just like, oh my god, what the hell? And then you end up finding out that the god of dogs, I guess, or for them in Japan and whatnot, they end up getting, both the boy and the dog end up getting taken there, and they get put into protection by them. But because they didn't want the boy end up kind of living his afterlife just around spirit dogs, essentially, that's why they had him go to the apartment, so that way he could actually be around people. And it's the interactions with those, and it's just so many different little stories. And then the guy himself is actually end up being like, there's hints that he has different powers and potentially really strong psychic powers that he never even knew about, but potentially because he's been living here at this apartment complex, they're now beginning to show themselves more, because now he's around the supernatural more, so it's actually becoming more apparent to him. He does stuff with that. The book that he actually has in his hand that you can see in the picture there, his is basically a grimoire, and one of the guys who actually goes around the world collecting books, who stays at the apartment complex when he's not out collecting more books, ended up bringing that to the apartment. And when he was showing the kid all the books, that book ended up choosing him as its new master. So now he has a tome of books, and that actually has magical ability and spirits that he can call upon.
Oh.
Yeah. So he learns how to actually control the power within himself. and just all the meanwhile, like I like the fact that yes, you see he does have a day-to-day life and whatnot, but anytime his day-to-day life is shown, it's because something is actually happening in his supernatural life that is connected to it in some way. So even though it's just kind of a slice of life, it's got enough supernatural in it to where it doesn't bog down. So I like the pacing of it. I like the characters themselves. Again, this is another one where there's so many different characters. You'd think that there would be, repeats and whatnot, but again, there's so many different characters, yet they all have their own personality, which is nice. And then there's like the one of the dudes in here I'm really curious about, and I hope they go more into him, who's supposed to be a writer, and yet they somehow like he knows that everyone there or most everyone there is yokai or some sort of spirit or something, and yet this writer, who the kid actually looks up to, there's something going on with him, but they won't say what.
Okay.
I'm like, there's something with this guy. I want to know what it is. I want to know what his deal is. What's his ability, or what he is he not human, and he just looks that way. I mean, I don't know, it's weird, but it's stuff like that makes you want to watch more. So this actually, I believe, is going to for a double season on this one.
Okay.
So because they are already on episode 14 on this one.
Okay, cool.
So this one is looking like it's going to be at least a 24 episode, if not more. So yeah, this is again another good one. For me on my list, this would be my number 3 for this season.
Okay.
It's an awesome show. I really enjoyed the different characters, and I like the fact that you're seeing him grow as a person, and it's that experience that you're kind of taking with it. So yep.
Yeah, I like the beginning. I know you said it starts turning dark, so I look forward to seeing that.
That it does.
Yeah, it's another show that I'll just add to the list.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually I will get to it. You end up like getting more and more attached to the characters as they go along, because they kind of sprinkle backstory like in like the best way. So it's really cool.
Your academics and how well you do would then dictate your life in the school. The better you are, the better you get, and the worse you are, the worse you get.